That's great.
Okay.
Because we would be taking a lot of stuff.
Alrighty.
Yes, well, so we'll just have to. They about if you just.
Yeah.
Just for cases, something needs you to test. So we'll have to ask how you just.
Okay.
We're just political, weird, iffy situation for you.
Yeah, that's okay, experience.
Experience.
Yes. I can be unbiased.
It is, if you're ready to start the recording. Thank you. It's 6:30 and I'd like to call this meeting to order and we'll start with the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Yeah, roll call, please. Here.
Trustee Check.
Here.
Trustee Hunter. Here. Trustee Bishop. Here. Trustee Foster is excused. Trustee Ostrander.
Here.
You have.
Hey, great, thank you. We have two announcements. We still have an open seat for a community member on the planning commission for a 2-year term.
Mayor,
Yes.
I moved to approve the agenda.
Jeez. Sorry, yes, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now hopping to announcements. There's still an open seat for a community member on the planning commission for a 2-year term. You must live in town to be eligible to serve. The planning commission meets once a month, the first Monday at 6 p.m. Please turn in a letter application to the town clerk by June 17th. There is also an open seat for a community member on the zoning board of adjustments for a 3-year term. You do not have to live in town to be eligible to serve. The ZBOA meets when there is business before it. Therefore, it's, doesn't happen every month on a regular schedule. And please turn an application to the town clerk for that. And again, I encourage in-town, out-of-town people to think about volunteering for those two positions. They're quite important. Thank you. So this is our time for a public comment for anyone to speak on something not on the agenda tonight for 3 minutes. And anyone in the room, just come on up to the podium, give us your name, whether you live in town or not, sign the sign-up sheet, and then I will turn to the people watching on Zoom, see if anybody has comments. So with that, anybody who wants to come up to the podium, since there's so few of you, just come on.
Bill Bruner, I live in Paonia. The case of Bruner v. Paonia has been dismissed by mutual consent. That dismissal does not mean the underlying issues have been resolved, does not mean that I agree my removal from office is lawful. I agree to dismiss only because my term had ended, the remedy of reinstatement was no longer available, and continuing the remaining constitutional claims over the law used for removal and the town code of conduct for elected officials meant the town was going to force me into federal court as a litigation tactic, delaying the case for 2 to 3 years and compounding the procedural difficulty by an order of magnitude. The central issue that led to my removal remains unresolved. There was serious failure in the town's financial management system under Treasurer Cindy Jones, and after a year-long realignment of books, how did the town receive an unmodified, clean opinion on that audit that made no mention of the difficulties with the books? It was a total financial collapse. And then in 2023, why did that audit, after that year-long realignment and a clean audit, why did that require readjustments and reclassifications of over $1.2 million? The reason I was ousted was simple. I wanted to know what information had been provided to the auditor about the collapse of the town's financial record-keeping system, as this had been described by interim administrator Klusmeyer. Her report describes serious accounting problems, errors in the accounts, and alleged violations of law. Later, we also learned about bank accounts opened outside of town using town money, and in at least one case, it appeared only Miss Jones could access the account. Taken together, these facts are big red flags that raise serious public questions. The public deserves to know, why was Miss Jones allowed to resign with a bonus after creating this mess? Mayor Smith knows she was part of that decision. What was the full cost of the year-long realignment of the books? What did it reveal? Why was there no final public report explaining what was found, what was corrected, and whether any money was missing or had been misapplied? Why were the reported legal violations identified by Ms. Klesmeyer not publicly investigated? And most importantly, what did the town provide to the auditor before the 2022 audit opinion was issued? In Mayor Smith's own words, by simply asking these questions, I jeopardized the town's grant funding, and for this, I was removed for office. In my opinion, this is a cover-up. I'm asking this board to take responsibility for reviewing the relevant records themselves and yourselves. Do not solely rely on staff, former officials, or claims of confidentiality. Examine the documents, determine what truly must remain protected by law, and release the rest of this story. This isn't about relitigating the past. It's about restoring public trust in the town's finances. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone would like to come up and speak on something not on the agenda for 3 minutes? Yes, please. Come on up.
Mary Baffert, Anytown residents. I would like to take issue with Mr. Bruner's comments, being that I was mayor during this period of time. Worked extensively with Ms. Klesmeyer, worked extensively with Cindy. First off, Cindy Jones was not given a bonus. She was given her due vacation and accrued sick leave time. That was the settlement with her, and that was legally required. There was no such thing as a bonus. Second, there were no legal issues that were brought up about Ms. Jones's work. There were issues with her work and the way she was presenting her work and her competence to do her job. And that is the issue why she was fired or was allowed to resign. The town's finances have been examined thoroughly. We have professional people looking at this and watching every penny that goes through. There are no questions. Mr. Bruner has been making the same allegation ever since I first became part of this town 10 years ago. He has said exactly the same thing. It doesn't matter who's in office, who's running things. He is a record that has worn its groove so deeply, he cannot possibly pull himself out of it. So go ahead, take a look at things. If you want to know why Mr. Bruner was asked to leave the board, then I suggest you go and review the tapes of the board meeting during that, when that happened. Don't take his word for it. Look at the facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, come on up. Pete.
Ethan Carpenter from town. I was there between the conflict in Stephen and Bill. Stephen claimed harassment. It's interesting because this last week I got police reports where Stephen claimed harassment of 5 other people, myself included, got death threats. He went to the police over 2 voicemails. One which I believe contained please and thank you in it. No curse words or anything. Went to the police to report that as harassment or a threat. Another was over a Facebook post where a woman said she eats bureaucratic princes for breakfast. She would be in town the next day. He reported that as a threat. So this is the person that you voted. You took his word over mine because I was actually in the middle of the 2 of them. It's partly why I've become so activated with all of you, because I witnessed the injustice that you did. I did watch those videos quite a bit. It was wrong. Stephen Wing is I posted some seashells, very much echoing the James Comey debacle where the Justice Department is attacking him and claiming he's threatening to murder the president. Although 86 is a term that's used in service industry. I worked in the service industry. My first job was at Sizzler. I did that because I was a teenager. I wanted to be able to go out. And that's what we would write, 86, the triple trim combo. So this wasn't a word that I picked out of a hat. It was not a threat to murder or intimidate anyone. It was a call to remove him from his position. My partner, my lovely partner, who only posted a thing saying that, no, it is appropriate to call for his removal, and said that we live in a lovely town filled with lovely people. He reported that as a threat to murder him. This is the same person that's claiming that his family is under attack. His family has never come out of my lips. I have never mentioned them. This person is doing all the things he's claiming the other people are doing. I am asking for you to support our police. The police knew that that was free speech. They understood that we live in a constitutional republic, and that Constitution is the cornerstone of our democracy. And he is trying to violate people's First Amendment speech. And you are all sitting up here doing nothing on the 250th anniversary of our great nation. The First Amendment, not the 8th or the 9th or the 10th, the very first one, the most important one. And I do believe that that was your example.
Thank you.
That you said.
Your time's up. Thank you. Anyone else? In the room? No one in the room?
No, I didn't know if anyone else wanted to speak. Shereen Patterson in town, Paonia. What is Mr. Wynn so fearful of? I'd like to know. The people, the questions, the statements. What is he so fearful of that he has to attend the meeting in his office? He cannot be present here. He's right there in his office, watching on Zoom. Why? Is that how scared he is? Are these people threatening him? Is anybody threatening him? Have the police had some accusations or problems? Do you know of anything? I'd really be interested to know, because I think this is silly and stupid, and it shows what kind of person he is. He can't face the music, he can't face the people. He's a coward, in other words.
Anyone else? See none, I don't see any hands up on Zoom, is that correct? Don't see. Okay, thank you. All right, the consent agenda. So we have 3 meeting minutes, May 12th, 22nd, and 26th. We have special event liquor licenses for Cherry Days at Top of the Rockies. And we have the June 9th disbursements.
Madam Mayor, I have one recommended change to the May 26th meeting minutes.
Okay.
I was not present, I was excused.
Oh, okay. And it needs to say.
It says I was there.
Oh, it says you were present. Okay, sorry, didn't understand that. And I know you have a concern about a potential conflict of interest.
Yes, I do.
And our attorney is here. If you want to describe why you feel like you have a conflict and about what, our attorney is here to maybe,
Awesome.
give you some more information.
Okay. Can you hear me okay, Clay?
I can. Sorry, I was having trouble with my buttons.
All good. So our consent agenda, license renewals, special event for Cherry Days and BMW Rally. I am the committee chair for the beer garden for both of those events. And I don't want a conflict of interest, but it looks like without me, we don't have a quorum. I do feel I can be unbiased and objective, but your guidance would be very helpful, whether I need to recuse myself or not.
So it sounds to me like you have more of a personal interest in this. There's no money exchanging hands, nor is any of money going to you or to your family. Is that correct?
That is correct. No money.
And this is like a volunteer organization that you are active in.
It is a volunteer organization, a 501(c)(3).
And what is your role again in,
I'm a committee chair for the Cherry Days and BMW Rally Beer Garden.
has the event already been approved and you don't see to gain anything financially from it?
I gain nothing personally from it except satisfaction.
And has the event already been approved by the board?
No, that is up tonight, I believe.
That's what's on the consent agenda, is it approving the special event. liquor
Oh,
license.
that's right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the event itself versus a liquor license can be kind of separated, even if it was the event itself, even though you have what you might consider like the appearance of a personal interest. It's not a per se, monetary conflict. There are exceptions delineated in statute that allow for certain conflicted trustees to make a decision if there's no quorum. I think also for the purposes of a conflict, I'm not sure, Madam Mayor, if you're voting on this or not.
I am not.
But as a tiebreaker, I think that's another way to do it.
Well, here's the
but
problem.
I don't see a conflict as that is a per se conflict that would prevent you from making that decision on the liquor license. But I understand your personal interest, and it is smart to make sure that you are candid about those personal interests. But because there's no money exchanging hands, and because you don't have a quorum, you could, after stating that, I think be allowed to vote in this without undermining any future, any future planning with this event.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that meet your comfort?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are any questions about any of the content in the consent agenda, if not, would someone like to make a motion to approve it?
I move to approve the consent agenda with the aforementioned changes to the May 26th meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I see a
Thumbs up.
thumbs up. Okay. Great, thank you. We'll start with, we have staff reports from the administrator and I believe, and the police chief too. So Stefan, if you'll go ahead and start going through our budget to actuals and the table we have set up, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so what you can see is on that first screen is our cash on hand as of June 5th. So these are all of our bank accounts and then also our investment accounts as well. I want to draw attention to that bottom number, that between last month and this month, even though we have been spending on our tank relining project, we went up in the total balance in all of our accounts. Can you go down? I can't scroll. Yeah. Trustee Ostrander had asked that we update this sheet to show like updated contract expiration dates. So in that the first boxes are like our DOLA grants. You'll see that the contract expiration dates were extended. All of that information is available on DOLA's portal. We've started the transition for Ashley to take over for those reporting. She's been listed as, I think, a sub-administrator or administrator for these for reporting purposes and then drawdown purposes. The one I really want to draw attention to is the EIF tier 2 9721 tank relining. That we did pull additional funding from, and we haven't received it yet. But that contract expiration is 10/31 of this year. All the others are into next year and into 28. You'll also see as we move down, all of those dates have been updated. RMS, which is Safe Pathways for Paonia, which will go out to bid this year for construction next year, is 2033. Once we have that finalized build grant, which I did learn got off of the Secretary of Transportation's desk, I think it was last week, we're ready to go with that as well. So we're gonna be able to go out to bid for that project this year for construction in early 27, or first in line for when asphalt is available in 27. The items that are stricken, so those strikeouts mean that we've exhausted those, we've received all of those funds, and that the grant has been closed out. That's for our hydrogeological study. Since that is done, we finally received all of our funds from the state. And what'll happen is next month, when you see the budget to actual, this information will go away. So all of this, since it is closed out, will be removed from this document. If you can keep going down. This is our actual revenue. So this was at the end of May. A lot of it's been updated. So our third-party accountant has been able to do bank reconciliations, saw the revenue that came in that needs to go to the general fund, and was able to update it. And so this document now represents a pretty updated amount of revenue coming in for all of our general fund. Can you keep scrolling down, please? Yeah, to that page right there. So you can see that as of right now, we have a net surplus in our general fund, and with an unrestricted fund balance that is higher than what we started with. And then this is also tied into all of the expenses for each department. The next page is the CIP, if you could go to that. We did break out revenues from, since they are considered they're considered major funds within the general fund or special revenue funds. That's like our sidewalk fees, our conservation trust fund, and then our sales tax capital improvement plan. That's through that 1% sales tax that we split out separately that goes only towards capital improvement projects. You can see the revenue that we've realized in that top box. And then underneath that is the capital improvement plan expenditures or capital outlays from each department. This mirrors what is in the last of each department. So like if, for example, capital outlay expenses administration, that total number all the way to the right, that $13,104.52 is made up of all of the debits from 1041.73, 1041.74, 1041.75, and 1041.78. That's going to make sense on the next page. So if you go to the next, after the surpluses, go into this one, the administration department. So as you can see, keep going. There you go. Nope. Try to keep as much of the document on the screen as possible. Thank you. So what you saw on that previous page with capital outlays, it's made up of that bottom line, those bottom 1, 2, 3, 4 funds, 73, 74, 75, and 78. And then those are reflected on that capital improvement plan for tracking. So with 1041.01, we've realized over 100%, but that's because salaries for the trustees, or what you guys get paid each month, haven't been broken down by our funds yet. So it's all just showing as if it's hitting the administration account. There's still some cleanup that gets done throughout the year by our accounting firm. And what she'll do is she takes these normally right out of ADP and plugs them right in, even though there's still some reclassification that needs to happen that'll go through each major fund. It looks like we're pretty on target for a lot of this. If you look at the general fund total, we should be about 50% totally expended for the year. And as of right now, we're 33.24% expended for the year. Keep going for the PD. Again, that general fund total number that in bold should be closer to 50%. We're still right on target with our spending throughout for the year. Go to the next one is building. So building, really all of our expenses should be in that 10, 40, 43, 20 category. There is some operating expense that got put into 104316. That's something that'll probably be cleaned up during your next budget to actual. It's something that'll be reclassified by Michelle to get that out of there, because the only expense we should have in building is for our professional services. And those professional services that we receive are from both the city of Delta for building inspection services, and then also from Schum's Coda for plan review. I did have to remind the city of Delta that we haven't been billed for several months. And they found that in their transition with the new finance director and accountant, that they had forgotten to bill us. So they're going to submit those bills and we'll get caught up probably next month. Streets,
Sorry, excuse me, Administrator Nguyen, what's the outstanding balance that we'll owe them?
I don't know. So we just hadn't seen a bill come in for several months. And so in all honesty, it'll probably be closer to that, making it 50%. So next month you'll see it, that we're going to have a pretty large outstanding balance that'll be paid.
That was my question, was if we were seeing that lower percentage in spend because of the lack of billing, and it sounds like that you think that might be the case. Is that correct?
That's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we have still used their services. They just, there's a lapse in their billing when they changed over with finance directors. Okay, if you could go to streets. Again, looking at that general fund total, 31.87 should be closer to 50%. We're still under budget for the year. And then if you go to the capital outlay for streets, slow down a little bit more. This is going to have to be a budget amendment, and so one of the things I'll work on before my transition out of the town is working on a budget amendment to reduce the street budget, since we're not actually going to construction for the Fifth Street realignment and reconstruction project. That 1045.72 number will be reduced to cover any expenses that we may have for like final engineering services, redoing environmental clearances, things like that. But we're going to reduce our budget by almost $3 million because we're not going to go to construction until 27. It was a best practice that was talked about by our auditors during our audit presentation last year. Parks, if you look at parks, we have recently gone out for seasonal employees. So we had 2 park seasonal employees that need to be hired. I think those got posted. Clerk Vetter could probably tell us if it has been or not. I know I updated the job descriptions, and they were ready for going out to be made live. So people could start applying. But you can see.
Stefan, I just wanted to say Clerk Vetter just said that the job postings will go out this week, probably tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay. So. Okay, so but those are 2 seasonal positions that'll be filled. It doesn't have to have a high school diploma or GED. Even incoming seniors at high school are welcome to apply. But then that 104602, that is actually for two positions. That 26,000 that was budgeted is for 2 positions with a set amount of time that they could work, and that's better reflected in the budget. We talked about that staffing for the parks, how many hours went into that. But you can see that bottom number, general fund total, 25.14%. We're still under budget when we should be closer to 50%. And then the capital outlays, we still have some capital outlays to complete. That right-of-way maintenance is for tree maintenance in the park. That could be trimming trees, planting trees, things like that. Enterprise funds are still pretty healthy. So our enterprise funds are doing pretty well. I don't believe that this one as of May 31st reflected the revenue that came in from our number one from the EIAF grant for the 2 million gallon tank relining. There should be an additional $250,000 reflected in 630 that we haven't received it yet, even though we've been notified that it's coming to our bank account. It hasn't hit our bank account yet. You'll probably see it during the next month's budget to actuals. And then also some loan funds from 60-36-25. There should be another about $105,000 or $100,000 that'll show up as booked, I think next month. But if you go down to the bottom, you can see that as of right now, it does look like we're operating at a net loss for this year's water improvement. However, like I said, there was grant reimbursement, loan reimbursements that haven't hit yet. And I do want to bring attention, the unrestricted fund balance ending is the number that we really look at. That's how much cash on hand we have for this specific fund. So we would be considered in a deficit if that unrestricted fund balance ending was a negative number or zero. It's not. It's $1,534,020.08. So we're still able to, all of our grants and loans are typically reimbursement based. And so you have to front the cash before you can receive the cash. And so we're still able to float all of our financing without any issue. Wastewater. Wastewater has a healthy balance, net income of $61,791.87. We had projected to dip into the fund balance by $61,500. Year isn't over yet, and we still have a number of projects that are, that are still ongoing. We do have an additional grant where we were budgeting to camera a portion of our system this year using just normal revenues, but we received a grant to do all 5 years at once. And so that's going to be reflected in here, and that'll be revenue that covers that expense. I think that's under 705170 capital outlay.
Administrator Wynn?
Yes.
I just want, would you explain what is actually being cameraed?
Oh yeah, it's our entire sewer system. So we're going to camera all of our existing in-town pipes, all of our manholes, all of the pipes in the ground, and then the most important one is going from the other side of Samuel Way Bridge closer to the highway all the way down to our wastewater plant. We'll be able to see how many services are there, if there are any illegal services as well, or taps that have tapped into the system. But it's an entire camera and scoping of our entire wastewater system, our sewer system.
And the
we
point,
did get that.
Yeah, and the reason for doing that is our sewer, we have clay sewer pipe that has outlasted its 50 years, that's running under most of the alleys in town. So this camera system will be able to detect where are the most dilapidated. Where do we, where is the priority to start changing these out? And to have a grant to do this is excellent.
Yeah,
and how much was the grant for?
I can't remember. I'll have to look at that. I'll have to update the grant document too. I don't have it on the top right on my fingertips. But it will. Scoping that sewer system is also essential for developing the project needs assessment for additional, funding from the state. That's something that we have been working on with RESPEC, and they need to know the current condition of our system so they can prioritize repairs and then to know what needs repaired.
Thank you.
Sanitation. If you go down to the bottom, so we had originally projected a net loss of 64,000 for the end of the year, dipping into that fund balance. As of right now, with a standardized trash collection system and service, we're starting to mitigate. We're starting to mitigate that loss, and it looks like we've been on that upward trend where revenues are starting to come in month over month more than our expenses. We had that initial large capital outlay, and we're starting to see those revenues come in and mitigate what the expected loss was for the year. Most of that is due to the amount of people that have changed from a smaller can to a larger can. We found that some people who had a single can agreement, where it was supposed to be 33 or 35 gallons, actually had like a 90-gallon can. And when they realized that what that it had always been this smaller can. They went up to that larger can. They're starting to pay for appropriate service, their appropriate service level. The final one is our North Fork Valley Airport. And so I did see that we've received an additional check today, maybe it was yesterday, for revenue from the county that will go into updating this, how much we've received. And I see that it cut it off. I see that our document cut off what our, on the right-hand side, what, what we've taken in. We'll correct that. We'll do an amended packet and get it up on the website so everyone can see what we've actually received in. As of right now, we've received no capital outlays. We've not spent any money. We've just continued to collect revenue.
Can you tell us, how often do we get money from the county for the airport?
I'm going to say it's quarterly, but I'll have to check. I think it's a quarterly payment that we receive.
You remember how much we received in the check that just came in?
I don't. I just remember seeing it was airport lease and a dollar amount. I don't know what was received in it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, all right, I'm sorry. Administrator Wynn, I didn't mean to interrupt. Are you finished?
That's all I have for right now. As I explained, my final administrative report will be on our, I think, June 24th meeting. It'll be pretty extensive, and it'll be a means of transitioning with the interim administrator.
Thank you. Any questions on the budget? Okay. Seeing none, we'll turn it over to Sergeant Henderson for the police report.
Ours is pretty short in comparison. We, as a department, we just completed our rest control and drivers training, which is required by the state. We've already done the fire alarms, and those are requirement each year that we have to complete at least 16 hours of it, which we have now completed. Thank you to the KAs and airport for allowing us to use your facilities to drive fast and fight in the mat room. So we got those completed. We also transitioned to the new TASER platform, the TASER 10, which is a safer platform for us, more cost effective. Actually brings in to the training facility of virtual reality, which is very going to be cost effective considering each TASER cartridge is about $35 each time we shoot one. And in training, we're required to do so until we get the virtual reality headset, which now will take place of that. And it's the state agrees that that's a good way to train. We can actually use firearms training for that as well. It's very cost effective. We're not going to be using all of our bullets and our TASER cartridges and stuff like that. So we just recently went through that with me as the instructor. And it builds together with critical or crisis intervention techniques as well as de-escalation, which is a very important part of our state stuff for the post requirements. So we, learning to talk to people instead of using force is much more effective, which we've been pretty successful at. Technician CATSR recently secured a .gov for us instead of a .com for our email, which says a little bit more about professionalism than our .com, and it would be a .gov for us. So it's actually, we're moving along a little bit better there.
And if I can add, that's the whole town.
Yes.
The whole town is going to be .gov, not just police.
So,
I just,
technician CATSR she's amazing. So she successfully did that, and that's gonna help the town a couple lot better. As far as the email portion. And Officer Bradley White recently completed his other training, and you guys will see him out there. I know you guys are gonna be. Okay, you're gonna see him at Lake Pickett in the park, and stuff like that. He's a very musical guy. He's very personable. You'll see him quite a bit. He's quite entertaining, but again, that's Officer Bradley White. His dad is actually the mayor of Delta. So it's neat to have, kind of us all together now. So if you see Officer White, tell him hi. Hopefully you don't see him in the other capacity. But if you do, I apologize ahead of time, but good luck.
Just have a question. Any questions for Sergeant Henderson?
I have a question.
Go
Yes,
right
ma'am.
ahead.
Great, thank you, Sergeant Henderson, for the report. I just wanted to ask a follow-up question, on the police report that was submitted this, for this session in our packet. Is it appropriate for me to do so now?
Absolutely.
Okay. You talked a little bit about de-escalation, which I was really pleased to hear, the training around that. I did see a couple incidences of like what's listed as domestic, and I'm curious if that means domestic violence, and in how you guys interact with that in terms of your training and what you're trained to do in those situations.
Just because it has the term domestic, that is what is dispatched to us. Do you have a specific date that's on that so I can reference that?
You know, unfortunately, I had it in front of me earlier and I don't remember.
If you give me one moment, I can.
There's one on May 24th on Main Street.
Okay, yes, we did have a domestic violence situation that occurred in the 200 block of Maine. The individual, for domestic violence to apply in the state of Colorado, you have to have several prongs. It is called a PRIC test, PRICC, which is punish, retaliate, intimidate, coerce, or control the person. With the intent to do so, you commit a crime of, it doesn't even have to be violence. It could be simply grabbing their phone or taking their phone or breaking something, with the intent to punish, retaliate, intimidate, coerce, or control the person. You commit that crime. And in the state of Colorado, it is a do not pass go, do not collect $200. You do go to jail for that if it is established. So if there is something, we are bound by state statute to act on that. There is no technical de-escalation if you have that. It is you have to go. More times than not, it's, you know, they're not at their greatest in their relationship at that point. That actual circumstance ended with an arrest warrant for that subject. The arrest warrant is no longer valid. That subject is no longer alive. So that situation did end very poorly, not in our jurisdiction. We just learned of it recently. So, you know, that's unfortunate that it ended like that, but that's just how things go sometimes. So that is a domestic violence. If that answers your questions, I hope it did.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't aware that there was such an extensive and very unfortunate story underneath it. But yeah, I was curious how you responded to that, what the protocol is, and if you are, you know, seeing more of that. I remember in the last couple of reports, I didn't see any. So I just had wondered also as a follow-up question, do you feel like you're seeing more of that more recently, or is this just something that flares up sometimes? Can you talk a little bit about that in general within our community?
Absolutely. It is I would say once every 3 months, we'll have something similar to that. It could be violent, it could not be. Sometimes we respond to a domestic violence situation. As I stated, it could just be how dispatch related the call to us, which is what you're seeing. It doesn't mean that somebody goes to jail if we can't establish that domestic violence has occurred. But those kind of situations are rare in our town. They do happen, everybody has a bad day. But at the end of the day, not very often do we respond to those or have to take action. And fortunately, Hotchkiss Police Department assisted us with that. 2 officers came up and assisted Officer Seeley with that situation. So we work hand in hand with everybody. It is a very rare situation where we'll respond by ourselves because it's very volatile sometimes.
Yeah, on that note, do you see repeat issues, or are these generally something that happens once and it's dealt with?
I would not even be able to say accurately that, you know, one way or another. It just depends on their relationship. Hopefully, they can resolve their issues and continue the relationship if that's what they choose to do. But sometimes we do get repeat people that have those situations. But in Paonia, in comparison to where I've been in my career, it's very rare.
Okay, thank you for answering my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We don't have, I don't think we have a formal Public Works report, do we?
No,
Okay,
I think, since,
Right.
two people are splitting it right now,
Right.
they've been busy trying to get things in order.
I have a bad habit of over passing things by, so I want to make sure I don't. So I do have two questions. First, Thina is here, Thina Backman is here to give us an update on what is the latest with the Smith Center.
So the mold remediation is completed. As of this morning, I got a phone call that it is, mold free and good. Have one contractor bid in to screw in the ceiling up to code, add just plywood to the wall that was taken down for the remediation. We've asked for a bid to, add single action locks to the two doors by the kitchen and the way in, the ones that basically lock the bathroom out as separate. And that came in it has not come in yet, but I was told it was going to be a separate bid because the doors themselves were like 4,000 each, which seemed really high. So we're doing that for fire code very specifically. So I'm thinking maybe Public Works can just put some doors in that don't lock at all, which will also satisfy the fire code, and it's a much cheaper proposition. The total for the one bid, and we do have two more that we've had people respond to us that are waiting on a little more detail from me specifically, so I need to do that. But the one bid we do have in is for 14,960, which does fall under the 50,000 totals expenditure on that building cap. But ideally, we'll have a couple more before we say go on anything.
Thank you. And the other thing, Administrator Nguyen, could you give us an update? We heard at the last meeting about on what was it, North Delta Avenue and Third, there were some sump pumps issues. Can you tell us what was done that seemed to have rectified the situation?
Yeah, so I know at the last meeting, there was some concern about, basements with water in them on Delta Avenue. That week, and then finishing, I think it was the following week, our team had been out there with the vac trailer and had cleaned out all of the catch basins within that storm system. And I think what we had heard, actually, I think I heard it from Trustee Fisher, was that there's no more water in basements. So whatever was done at the catch basin at Third and the railroad track took care of the issues in that area. And so rather than in the past, what we had done is we had always contracted with
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just am not, when you say whatever was done, can you just expand on that? So something was done at Third. Can you tell what?
I was getting ready to get into that, Trustee Ostrander. So yeah, so what they had done was, in the past, we had hired a vac truck to go through from a third-party vendor. We had purchased last year a vac trailer, and that vac trailer is a very large, vacuum that sits on a trailer that cleans out catch basins. And catch basins are where sediment falls within a storm system. We went through, our Public Works went through and cleaned out every catch basin in that area. And it looks like that is what did the trick to take care of the water in basements. This is something that our Public Works supervisor has put on a normal maintenance list, annual maintenance list. And so as part of this process, they'll continue to clean those catch basins on an annual basis. Trustee Estrada, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. When you just said whatever was done, I didn't know that we were going to explain it. So I appreciate the explanation, and I'm glad that that will be a regular maintenance piece going forward.
Excellent, thanks. And Mayor, did that take care of your question?
Yeah, I think it was good to hear the rest of the story, so thank you very much. And then folks their problems seem to have been solved. Thank you very much. If there aren't any other questions.
I do have one more question about that, because
go ahead.
thank you. I did hear from a constituent that They actually pump their basement year round, and there was just an exceptionally bad issue during the time period that Administrator Wynn mentioned. I am curious just about the volume of water. Do we understand, are we sitting on, are those springs? Is this a high water table issue? I can't imagine that volume of water would just be from a single ditch leaking. Just curious if like the catchment basin's filling up, I totally understand from a drainage standpoint, but where is that water coming from? Do we know?
So having talked with Public Works, it seems like it's groundwater. And I don't know where the groundwater comes from. I don't know, is Rodney there? Oh, Jordan's here. Okay, Jordan's raising his hand. Thank you, Jordan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so it seems to be an issue with groundwater coming off, especially during runoff time. And unfortunately, our runoff time is getting close to being to the end, but it does seem to have to do with runoff. And every report that we respond to, every house has a sump pump. It's just an ongoing condition. Our storm drain, unfortunately, helps like acting like a French drain because it's very old and needs to be relined. So if we were ever to actually fix the problem with the storm drain of catching that water, it would make that problem much worse for everybody else. So it's just something to keep in mind moving forward. Yeah, we got that catch basin cleaned out and everything, but there will never be anything the town can do that solves that problem.
Totally. I
than-
get that it was acting like a French drain. I think that's a great analogy. My dad's just a geologist, and he was wondering, like, maybe are we sitting on a similar situation where there's like larger water that could be tapped underneath the town to supplement irrigation for the parks. So I was curious if we knew anything about the formation that's holding the excess groundwater.
I think the mayor herself is actually done with this situation, so she might actually have a better answer than me, but Delta Avenue is definitely a place where groundwater rises as the runoff comes.
We have a sump pump in our basement and ours hasn't been running. So it seems kind of localized. We probably have a bunch of ancient alluvial channels, and water likes the path of least resistance. So we've been lucky. And I'm in the middle of the 200 block of Delta, and the neighbors, Mike Brazonik is just 2 doors down from me to the north. So it's interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just behaving kind of like, I just was reading the hydrological study and report that was put out last year, and it's behaving kind of like some of those spring systems where there seems to be like a max amount and then it overflows. So I was just curious if anyone had ever looked at the like geological structure underneath the town to see, just out of curiosity, how much capacity we might be looking at there in terms of water storage. And right now we're not watering the trees in the park as much as they need to be, and we've got excess water in basements. So I was just trying to ask some high level questions to see what might be known about the situation.
Guess the crickets means not a lot. That's not something that the town has done historically. So at this point, we got our hands full up on the springs, as my personal opinion. Sorry. Maybe that could be a future geologic mapping. But I don't think it has to do with watering trees. And are you suggesting that watering trees is contributing to the water? Or
Oh,
use the
no.
water
I'm sorry if
water
I
the
wasn't
trees?
clear. Yeah,
Okay.
I was saying we have excess water in one area and a dearth of water in another
Gotcha.
very important area. So I was just curious from a future perspective, how much we knew about that system geologically that's causing the water to be held there and then come out during runoff, which is a similar behavior to most of our springs, simply with the fact in mind that we will be in more drought. So it was just a question of curiosity. I don't there's anything we can do about this moment in time, but it does seem like it happens every year and it's always present and its behavior is very similar to some of the other spring systems.
Yeah, that's probably for a future endeavor. I do know one of my neighbors, she can water her trees with her sump pump water. So, yeah, and for some reason we don't have it. I have no idea why. So. Did you get your questions answered?
I just wanted to bring it up and see what we knew and
Sure.
understand where we stand so that going forward, we can begin to consider that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. If there are no other questions, we'll move on to the actions and presentations. And our first one, consideration of approving a proposal for the RFP for raw water monitoring. Who on staff would like to speak about what how we had to switch gears? Because we didn't have all the information we needed for the packet.
I can if I need to.
Well, I think, well, okay, yeah, go ahead, Jordan. Sorry. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so we actually only received one bid that was complete. We sent that out to the engineers. They were unable to complete a report by the time that we had requested. I think they felt that it was kind of weird that we had only received one bid. The other one had just came in late and there were errors. So it's something that we're looking back into, but for the most part, we got one complete bid and the other ones were incomplete or late.
So what's happening is the information wasn't ready in time to make it into the packet. So rather than the proposal being in front of the trustees and the public, we're asking that a special meeting be scheduled for in association with the water work session, which is going to happen on Tuesday, June 16th. Topically, it's a good time since we're going to be talking about the water system. So Clerk Vetter was looking for a motion to table the consideration of approving this proposal, because we obviously don't have it, until a special meeting can be scheduled on June 16th at 2020, next week, 2026. So right now we have a work session scheduled to hear from our three consultants or contractors on the water system, past, present, future. And that is scheduled to begin at 6:30. And so the thought is, well, we can't get in here before 6:30, can we?
SDR meeting.
So could we have the special meeting begin at 6:30 and the work session just follow? And so the special meeting would be advertised at 6:30. Once that meeting's over, we would just roll right into the work session. So hopefully this meeting would be done by 7. So, and all the consultants that are going to be present are aware of that. So I guess what we need is a motion to set aside a special meeting on the 16th. And the work session is already scheduled. We don't need anything about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we set aside this agenda item until the special meeting on June 16th.
I second.
Can you say at 6:30?
At 6:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you for making that happen. All right. Consideration of the alternative camera systems. So do not know who, Ruben, are you comfortable kind of explaining your outreach and the side-by-side comparisons? And then I believe, Jordan, you are here. Because I think we really need to understand of these three systems, which ones do you feel would be most appropriate and useful for our water treatment plant and the sewer plant? And then I think the other cameras that we have talked about right now, the motion made 2 meetings ago was for the filling station, water filling station, town hall, which was the counter in the vault, and the parking lot behind Public Works. Does that sound familiar to everybody? So so my point is, they can all use the same kind of camera. There's nothing that has to be done specifically, but I'd spoken to Jordan about the importance that we are keeping an eye on both of our critical infrastructures. So I was asking him if he had a preference for these three. So I'm gonna just open it up to some discussion. And see, if trustees have questions, and if Jordan, you're comfortable saying that, you had a look at these three and which one you think would work best.
I did have a look at them. I don't have a preference with what is going to be best or anything. And I know that I had talked to Ruben about it a little bit earlier, and we're kind of met. Whatever we're able to have is whatever we're able to have. There's not really a preference for what could work better. It's just something that we have in place so that we know that if something happens, we can look back and try to figure it out.
Can I ask you a question about the system? Hang on, I can't get to the name of it. That's in the third column, the CamStar. So the other two are, you don't have to have electricity. They are running on solar with a battery, somewhat of a battery backup, whereas the CamStar is hardwired. Is having hardwired at the two facilities any kind of an issue?
So that's actually the only thing I'm able to kind of think of is something that isn't hardwired might be more beneficial in case of power loss, since of course we don't have generators out there currently. So that would make sense to me that if power went down, we would be able to see that. Because if it was hardwired, we lose eyes, we lose everything.
Okay, that's good to know. Questions for Jordan from the trustees? Just questions in general?
Does staff expect to hear back from IQ Wired, or are we kind of?
We did hear back today. Just to update you, the system they recommended is not going to work for us because it is cloud native. We're trying to get away from cloud.
Right. And they don't have anything to offer us on that.
Recommendation. This report was made prior.
Ruben, I apologize. I can't really hear you.
Yeah, could you say that again? Speak up just a little bit. It is hard.
Yeah, Trustee Ostrander, IQ Wired came back with a vendor recommendation. However, I don't believe they actually, IQ Wired that is, read through the actual requirements we asked, because they provided a cloud-based system recommendation, which is not what we want. So we said, thank you very much, and we'll take it from here.
They did make a point too of saying that this isn't something that they normally have vendors for. They had to reach out for it because so this was a little bit out of their wheelhouse as well too, so.
Well, and any one of these three is available just out of the box.
Or can I just ask a quick follow-up question?
Yeah.
Though I'm a little confused. And Ruben, I appreciate their Deputy Clerk Santiago. I appreciate you providing that information. How did then if our IT, and I don't want to rehash old things, but I just am curious if our IT department didn't recommend them before, who made the recommendation for Verkada in terms of consulting, with the town on that system, like specifications, like where did, who performed that service for the town?
Yeah, I can actually ask. Trustee Ostrander, I know when I first started working here back in 2023, like when I was still a finance clerk, the town had done a demo with Verkada all the way back then. I'm not sure what brought them up to staff again, but when it comes down to our IT providers, remember, we also just changed IT providers. So Astonish has been with us for only a short time. So I don't know if that came from a demo or, we constantly have people who reach out to staff and send a blind thing, here, are you interested in our service? It could have come from there or any number of places. So.
I see. Okay, thank you for the background.
Other trustee discussion before I open it up to the public? Trustee questions?
So I have questions and I don't know, Jordan, maybe some of this is for you, if you don't mind. I'm looking at the cameras, the number of cameras. And the Reolink and the Vico Home each are a single camera, it sounds like, whereas the CamStar would have a multiple camera setup on the building. Is that, am I understanding that correctly? Or do you know?
That was a little bit of my understanding, is that there had to be multiples in it. But we only need the two. We need the incoming and we need the back room, we need the lagoons and we need the incoming. Those seem to be the most beneficial for us. I'm not sure about multiple other angles on anything. It wouldn't hurt anything, but also I'm not sure what we would gain from it.
Right, so two cameras at wastewater and two at the treatment facility, you feel would cover ingress and egress and the building?
Correct, yeah. The only other one where we talked about maybe more would have been the town shop, where you get the fill station, you get the front parking lot, we get an inside, and then we had also talked roughly about the view where the old EMS used to be, just because it's kind of a blind spot, and if somebody wanted to even walk past that camera and go back there, we wouldn't really know what they were doing.
Okay, so we would need a few cameras there, 3 or 4. Also, right?
Probably 4 would be correct for the town shop.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustees? Okay. I'm gonna open it up to public comment. Anyone who would like to come up and speak on this topic, come on up and give us your name, whether you live in town or not, and you've got 3 minutes to tell us what you're thinking.
I'm Elliot Brown, I live in town. My email is Alan Brown, I'm actually the one that suggested, that's my middle name. I'm the one that suggested the Reolink cameras. I have them on my own property, I bought them on Amazon, they're very easy to install. The app is very friendly. They are cloud-based, but I think since the cameras are out of our community, out of our parks, off of our streets, the cloud-based is a lot less of a concern at the water treatment plant and at the shop. Also, I'm not sure where they got the $1,347 estimated upfront cost, but the cameras are $130 a piece on Amazon. And they're like $6 or $8 a month for cellular subscription service. And then they're solar powered, so they don't need electrical, they don't need wireless. And yeah, I think they're a great solution. I was had any other notes for that? No, I think that's about it. Thank you.
I was just gonna ask if that price was for multiple cameras.
Yes, 8 cameras.
That's for 8 cameras, the 1347, kind of matched your math.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else come up?
I do agree with Elliot that the cloud-based is not a problem if it's not recording people in public spaces. I think that's the part, but I feel like I heard someone say the critical infrastructure and then the town hall, or so we keep kind of adding in little things that would capture people. Maybe I'm wrong.
That was the
It's just the front desk.
previous
Yes,
motion.
the front desk is somewhere that captures people in public, right? And also, you have had incidences with the public where they were being captured. And so, again, I really don't think you should be putting it there. I think all the town businesses operate, many of them at least, they're allowed to do whatever they want, but operate without having to film their clients. And obviously people don't want to be on camera. I think people came here and expressed that in really no uncertain terms, at least a very strong majority of people. So I would really strongly suggest not opening that up to anywhere. I do think we're chasing a problem that we don't have. I recall sitting here and the police chief said, no, we're fine without cameras. But sure, put them up in your critical infrastructure. I really would like to not hear another motion to extend the Verkada contract. like we heard last time, sort of after public comment. I think that we've spoken very loudly as a community that we do not want that company operating in our community, so I would not like to see that extended. We can live without cameras. We're gonna do it. We're gonna show the whole country how you can do it, living without cameras. And so I think we should move past this. Take the other ones down that are filming people in public. Even the Public Works one is still capturing everybody that drives by. This one, little kids walk down the alley, they're on the thing. I don't think you fully comprehended what this community wanted by leaving them up. I would like to see those remaining cameras taken down. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? And no hands online? Okay, so let's continue the conversation about moving forward, if depending on your wishes. Can I ask one question too? Hang on one second. The CamStar amount that's there, 2798, was that also for 8 cameras?
No, that actually came with 16.
Oh, that's 16, okay. Just,
If you guys decide to go this way, there are other packages with smaller amounts of cameras.
okay, thank you.
License price.
Thank you very much, just for comparison purposes. Okay.
Now, the real link says on, and it's in this table says 1+ cameras. So what is the 1+? Or is that an asterisk?
It is a plus. Do you know, can you explain
The
that?
pricing is based on a single plus additional cameras. Whereas the multi-camera system over here, it includes everything. That's why it says multi-cameras. So what I'm saying here is I will need 1+ additional cameras.
And so, do I have this right, that if we went with the GeoLink, that, and we had 2 cameras at the, for instance, at the water treatment plant, that is then 2 accounts on a phone?
Correct.
1 for each camera, okay.
Well, you can have multiple cameras on one account on the app, so anybody with the app with the camera added, because there's a QR on the camera. So you get the app and you scan the camera specifically, and then you're linked to the camera.
Great, thank you. So I was just wondering about if it's cumbersome, and it doesn't sound like it at all.
It's quite simple.
Yeah, it seemed very simple.
And again, so the price, the 1347 was for 8 cameras, so on the Vico home, that 525, is that also for 8 cameras?
Yes. What cheap. But also in China.
And I'm sorry, does this include installation cost, or are we installing that? Is Public Works installing it?
This is just material hardware.
Would there
It's
be-
3 screws.
Would
to
there,
install.
would there be additional installation costs that are not captured here, or would that fall under normal, activity within Department of Public Works?
Yeah, it sounds like it just takes 2 screws to install them, so it'd be a Public Works.
Okay, sorry, it's hard for me to hear sometimes.
Did that come through? Yes, it would be Public Works. It sounds like they're quite simple to install.
Thank you.
But if we went with the CamStar, then we would have to find someone to install them, or would that company install them? Because I see installation complexity, moderate to high. With hardwired, they're gonna have to run a lot of wiring things, and I don't know. Public Works, that seems like an awful lot of technical. I don't know, I don't run wire.
It also sounds like the least desirable system from the Public Works representative.
Yes, indeed.
Well, and let me ask this. So it certainly is not the ideal one for the 2 plants, but would it be a better camera to have at town hall? I mean, town. Public Works place, because there's.
Does everywhere have Wi-Fi?
Yes. And you know what? I'm gonna have you come up. Because normally, because you have some good information for us, so thank you. If you don't mind
Sure.
being there to
Happy to
answer
help.
questions, that would
That
be
way,
great.
trustee Osterdick.
Yeah. And we do have Wi-Fi every. The town?
Should be still in the shop here and
How about the water plant?
Yes.
Yes, we recently got Elevate up at the water plant. It's at the wastewater treatment plant and it is at the town shop.
Is the power stable all those places?
Not at the two critical, because if the power goes
The
out,
Wi-Fi goes down, the cameras go down, then they
Exactly.
have an alert and they can't see anything.
that's right. And Jordan was saying the ones that run on battery solar would be better for the two critical.
Those are
infrastructure.
solar and cellular, so
Yeah.
they're hitting all the marks as far as power goes down, Wi-Fi goes down, they're still able to view, they're still able to access, they're still able to make the choices, whether they need to go and visit the site.
Right, and so what I'm just saying, and that's great, and I think that sounds ideal for those two remote locations. I just didn't know if the trustees want to have a camera at Public Works, could it be wired? Or again, if Jordan, would it, again, if the electricity goes out, you can't see Public Works, which if there's a blizzard, that would not be good, would it? So again, the one with solar sounds ideal for everywhere. Now that I'm
Cor-
getting out loud.
Correct. I think they're already all hardwired, but if we are looking to improve this, then yes, something on a battery makes much more sense because if the entire town goes down, so do we.
From my understanding, the Rio Links are not hardwired, you don't need to plug them into a 120 volt. They're solar, self-charging, they have a battery, and they have their own SIM card built in, so they have their own dedicated cellular service. So I don't think there's any wiring. The ones I bought, I didn't buy these exact models, but I have a different Rio Link model. And it was just plug it in and get it on Wi-Fi standard camera. But when everything came up, I looked around to see what other options they had.
Thank you for doing that. Okay, other questions from the trustees? Euro. Technology,
I would say that one company with one app and one system would definitely make more sense than two apps, two systems, mixed access and all of that stuff.
I agree.
And you could even have the wired camera if you didn't want to get the solar cell camera for like the town office, you could buy one of their other models that is wired that you plug in and it would still work with the same app through the same system.
I just want to say I so appreciate your input. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Very
I'm
appreciated.
just saying that Mr. Brown is correct. There are other models that will work as well. Though I looked at the specific model you recommended. Look fine.
trustees. Planning on any trustees? Want some more answers?
Seems like the Rio link is a very workable solution. And we can contain it. And control it. And it's affordable. Right.
And they do have, on the alerts, there were some options of like alert for an animal or not alert for an animal, or alert for a human or not alert for a human. So there was some AI functionality, but once again, if it's not in collecting, the life of the townspeople information, it'd be great to go, oh, hey, there's a person in the backyard, and I look and I go, oh, that's my stepson, cool, I don't have to worry about it. So it's awesome to not have the squirrels make it go pop and the branches on the trees make it go pop and all of those things, which it's tunable in a fashion that, met with my needs.
I feel like we have some good options before us that are not going to be that expensive, and should we need to learn as we go along, we can do so. I appreciate the staff time and the public input into the process and bringing forward these much more like affordable and appropriate options. Thank you.
Are you ready to make a motion and it can be in pieces? It doesn't all have to be at once. I mean, everything doesn't have to be in a single motion if it's easier to do it in pieces.
We're going to choose a camera system this evening, trustees. Get this ball rolling, so we can get that Verkada contract.
Yeah, I feel comfortable personally. I'd love to hear if anyone else feels otherwise.
I'm sorry, trustee Ostrander, you do or do not? I didn't hear what you said.
I personally feel comfortable moving forward with one of these, knowing that we will learn as we go, and because of the low cost, it will be not high risk if we need to iterate or adapt.
Ready to make a choice?
Sorry, I just was wanting to follow up on the question. Does anyone else have anything else to add from the trustee perspective?
No. Alright, so which one do we like better? I think it's come down to the two, the Rio Link or the Vico Home. Would that be a fair assessment?
I'm just gonna say, we have a willing person in town who could probably answer questions on that one, which might be helpful.
I'm happy to help in any capacity I can. I'll spend an afternoon and scan a QR code and get people's phone apps installed. That's no trouble. I'm self-employed. I can take the time.
Thank you. I'm just putting a plug in for you because you're so knowledgeable, and thank you for all the information. So that's just a thought.
Indeed.
I'm gonna ask one of my fellow trustees if you'd be willing to make a motion. I know I've been leading on this topic, but with my brain injury, it's a little hard for me to hold multiple pieces at once. And I'm not confident in my ability to do the language of it at this moment in time.
Okay. Anyone else ready to take a stab? It doesn't have to be perfect, just you can start on something.
I made the motion on the Verkada.
Okay, that's, so I guess, do we need to pick the camera system before the motion?
I
Okay,
would suggest the camera comes first.
right, so we need to decide that. I'm thinking.
I'm hoping. I don't know how to do the other one, so
Yeah.
real is my.
Well, I propose we go with the Rio Link. Trustee Ostrander, do you like the Rio Link?
Yes, I would approve of that, given that we have expertise in the room and it seems very adaptable, and we didn't hear from Jordan very strongly on either of those two. So as long as there's no objections from Public Works, I support that.
Okay, let's give this a shot. I make a motion that we direct the staff to purchase the Rio Link system after assessing how many cameras we need total.
You can stop there if you want.
Let's stop right there.
If that's.
Yes,
And it just makes it simple.
but we like simple.
Okay, if you want, do we have a second for that?
Can I add, like, not to exceed 10 cameras? Like, I just don't like having open-ended motions.
Yeah, we don't have
Yes.
did we didn't get a second, did we?
No.
So you can select.
Okay, yeah, go
Not
ahead.
to exceed 10 cameras.
Okay. Do we have a second for that motion?
I second.
Okay. More discussion? All right. All in favor?
I.
Okay, so GeoLink, whatever it is, sorry. 10, RioLink, sorry. That's my son's name. You think that would plug right in? Sorry.
Okay, so we have now. We have the first bite, right? We have the staff to purchase the cameras. So now do we need to how do we get Mr. Brown? Do we need to make a motion for Mr. Brown to help us or anything?
I don't think so.
Can just liaison with staff, public works on my own time and.
Yeah, you
I
can't.
wasn't talking about anybody, I just don't know. Thoroughly yet. Okay, so we have cameras, is that where we're at the moment, and if we can move on? Yay. Yay.
And just so you know, the Verkada system will be shut down. Actually, it'll be shut down tomorrow. I am the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it will be done and there will be no data available. Like once the cameras are disabled, it's done. So there's no. And I will do it tomorrow before I leave for my son's wedding. Named Reed.
Thank you, Mayor Page. May you just please send out an email confirming when you are done?
Yeah, will do. Okay, thank you, everyone. So we are to consider the resolution declaring a vacancy on the Board of Trustees. Clerk Better.
Yeah, so, we announced at the last meeting that, former Mayor Pro Tem Majorado had resigned. But there wasn't enough time for us to get a resolution in. So this is the first step in accepting, applications and letters of interest for people who would be willing to, either fill that spot, until the next municipal election, which would actually end that term because he had a 2-year term. We have 60 days by statute to do that before we have to send it out to a special election for people to be able to run. So if you guys approve this tonight, then staff can start blasting it out that there's an opening available and start getting some interest. I did put it for 2 meetings out, I believe. Yes, because generally you guys like to have a little bit more time for people to, think about it and decide whether or not it's a thing. So I think by the July 14th, when if we didn't have any interest, we'd be able to put it out for like another 2 weeks before we kind of have our hands tied. With having to go a different route. So that's all.
Any discussion? Any questions, comments from the audience?
Sorry, I have a question. Just how does it, forgive me again, being new, how does it go? We post people writing letters and then what happens?
We have a board and committee application that people can fill out, and then we generally ask them to do a letter of interest. And then at the July 14th meeting, you guys would have an opportunity to meet anybody who put in a letter of interest, ask them questions, as long as they're all the same questions. And then the board can either just vote to appoint somebody, or you can do you can't see me, but I'm doing quotation marks, secret ballot. Because it's not really secret, you guys would write it on there and I read it out, trustee Ostrander votes for so-and-so. And that's how you appoint somebody. Full transparency there. And that's generally how it goes. Then they'll sit for the remainder of the term. Well, normally it would just be till the next municipal election. But since trustee Majorado was already only serving a 2-year term, it would just be till the next election anyway, so.
In 2028.
2028, yeah. At that point, then the seat will be back up for a 4-year term.
Does that answer it? Did that get it for you, trustee Ostrander? Any other questions on it?
We vote on candidates that put in letters of interest and conduct interviews with the board.
Yes, the board of trustees will vote to appoint somebody to fill that seat until the next election. If you don't get any interest within 60 days, then we'll have to start a whole election process and hope we get candidates that way.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay. Comments, questions? Anybody in the audience? Comments, questions? Nobody online? Could somebody like to make a motion?
I move to approve resolution 26-07 declaring a vacancy on the Board of Trustees and authorize staff to advertise for applications and letters of interest to fill the vacancy.
I second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Great. All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have Item number 4, selection of a mayor pro tem. Right, back to Clerk Benny.
So I know your instinct because we're getting ready to appoint somebody who's gonna be to wait, but I have 2 really good reasons for you not to. So, number 1, Mayor Page is getting ready to go out of town for a brief period of time. If in that time we needed somebody to sign something that came through, whether it was for an emergency or, I mean, we have a couple of, or we have like a temporary liquor license that's out right now and, you know, or no, if her work is done, then we can sign a license and actually get her stuff in, you know, that kind of thing. That and the mayor pro tem is also an authorized signer on the bank account, which means that right now we're down a signer from the elected side of things. So that's done by resolution. So if you guys wanted to revisit the mayor pro tem conversation again, when you did appoint somebody new, that's totally open. Resolutions are easy to do, but we really need somebody in that position sooner rather than later, just for continuity's sake. Could you hear me okay, Trustee Ostrander?
Yes, thank you.
And this position is chosen by the trustees.
By the trustees.
Okay.
She should be if she wanted to be last time.
Yes.
She should.
So we'll have to have,
Sherry.
well, and so. Yeah.
Appointed.
So, and I just want to, just for context, right now Cherie is on the planning commission and she's on the short-term rental committee. So she's doing 2, you know, extra duties, just so you know. And Lucy is also, and I am also on the planning commission. And Walter and I are on the finance committee.
And Walter and I are on public safety.
And Walter and Lucy are on public safety. So just giving context, that if you were, I'm just suggesting if you were to be willing to be mayor pro tem for a bit, we'll have to have this will have to come up in a meeting for some of the committee assignments.
Oh, absolutely.
So there is the possibility to rearrange things. So just saying there's some latitude to not, it's not like you're gonna set in stone.
Okay, well,
If you're willing to put your name in there.
Yeah, are you volunteering?
I am, yeah, I am.
I move to appoint trustee Fisher as mayor.
Oh.
You read this, okay?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Wow. Excellent, thank you.
Rain cookie.
Yeah. So that next is the resolution for the authorized signature, which now we know who to fill the blank in with, but it will have to be a motion. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So-
Yeah, because then that way we can get it signed before you leave town, mayor. Because we'll have to take that down to the bank so that they can start the process and trade trustee Fisher.
I move to approve resolution number 08-26, authorized signatories with the inclusion of trustee Fisher as mayor pro tem.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Ostrander? Okay, got it. Thank you. Right. All right, now the next order of business is the consider approval of the RFP 2603 for an executive search firm. And this was a joint effort to put together this draft RFP. And in the staff report, I wanted to make it clear that I had seen another town had done a hiring committee that I thought would make this streamlined, would be very helpful. So that is in here. But I also wanted to make it clear that by state law, citizens cannot see applications. They can't see any information of anyone applying for a position. That is not public information and never is until and except if the finalists that are chosen by the committee, staff and those become public. those names, I think there's a few things that are kept out, but their applications all become public. And they must be interviewed in public. So that's how this progresses. And I've already said my piece about how important I think it is to get an executive search firm. I actually managed a lot of our executive search 3 years ago, and it's way too much work. And it's just, we don't have the staff to do it, and I am certainly not willing to do it again. And an executive search firm is going to be an unbiased professional people that can do this in a very scheduled, organized way that can be followed. The town can put this where we are in the process, what's coming. And you'll notice in the RFP that there's quite a bit of wanting an executive search firm to come to the town, talk to the trustees, meet with the public before they even start, the process, including putting together the job application, what am I looking for? Description. And then firms will then create a brochure. And for some reason, that is one of those things that really helps for getting the word out about potential applicants. And then again, during this time, anyone can apply for this job. This is not, in our interim, I'll say we had a person that was recommended to us. In this process, anyone can apply, and the town will make it clear how you do apply for this. But I just, from my heart, I cannot tell you enough how important I think it is to have an executive search firm. So with that, oh, and the other thing, the dates that I put in here, let me back up a second. So we got a draft from another town, and we got a draft off of BidNet. And I used some of the boilerplate off of our previous RFPs, RFQs. I spoke with Kevin Balmer, who is the head of Colorado Municipal League, and got some insight from him how to do this. And then Mr. McCarthy sent me some work he had done for things to put in a proposal, certain things that you want to put in, and that was very helpful too. So this is a conglomeration of information put together, and thank you for everybody, all the inputs that was provided. So now the dates that I put in here are contingent on it being approved tonight. But those dates can be changed. I just had to have a placeholder and a schedule to show these people. Now, I have inserted in here that we would like to have someone hired by November 30th. I don't know if that's enough time, honestly, but I needed to put a date in there so the trustees, I really would like you all to think about it and, decide what you think works. So that is my pitch. And then, we can talk about any of the contents draft as well.
I personally absolutely think a professional management search team is needed in this set of circumstances. I also think it's absolutely necessary to know that everybody can apply. I could apply if I were a citizen again. And I felt like I was qualified for said position, so that we will get as many applicants as we can. I think that that's important. I also like the fact that a professional search engine or team offers all of these amenities, if you will, a recruitment brochure. They design the application, create the position application, work within our roles, listen to what we want to find. And I find that invaluable because, like you mentioned, Mayor, the time, just the sheer amount of time needed to get these criteria and then to accept applications, go through, make sure that they meet said criteria. We don't have that much time to spend. I don't think I may not be saying this well, but we're already very full plates. And if some things can be done for us, I think that would be great. And this sounds like a lot of things would be done to help guide us towards candidates. Yes.
I would agree. I definitely think having an executive search firm is important and key. I don't think the board or the staff has the time, and given the statutory limitations on what the community can do, I do appreciate the fact in the draft RFP that the community is involved specifically. So I'm looking at page 3 in the scope of services, items 2 and 10, where the community is involved both upfront, coming up with the ideal candidate profile of the community needs are, as well as, at the finalist level.
Yes, I agree. I think it's vital we have the community involved in this process as much as possible.
Other trustee thoughts?
I support the words that have been said to date. You know, I joined the board to really work on the water system and the trees, and obviously pay attention and ask good questions and make sure our budget is balanced and all those important fiduciary responsibilities. But I certainly in my past roles with government, especially city government, have benefited from search firms. And I think writing in the engagement and feedback process with the public prior to that job description creation and search is helpful. And I think it will allow the town to continue to do the important business that we really need to attend to at hand.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna open it up to folks in the room. Anybody, come on, hang on, Sharina, I saw your hand first. Oh, okay, come on up. Sharina, 3 minutes, just tell us your name and whether you live in town or out of town. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, guys. Some of you may know me. My name is Ida Mae Damaris. I used to live here in Paonia, and I currently live in Crawford right now. I'm trying to get back to Crawford or to Paonia. But I wanted to throw my hat in the ring for this position. Not many people know me for my brain. They mostly know me for my work ethic. I've been known to, you'll see me in somebody's yard cleaning or working or whatever. I'm heavily involved in helping and doing things around. I have 2 masters. One is in organizational leadership. The other one is occupational safety and health. I also have a total of 35 years of education. I'm pretty damn smart cookie. And if you're looking for somebody and you want to spend that kind of money to find somebody, I'm right here. So I'm going to put my name in the hat, but I wanted you guys to get a look at me and to understand what you're getting. I'm pretty damn smart, and I will do great by the town that I'm committed to. I've already been doing it. I just assume take a position. I love it here. I've been here 5 years. I'm partial to this valley, very partial. This is my home now. It's the first place I've ever called home. And I want to contribute. So if you'll have me, I'll be putting my name in the ring. And just, we'll see what happens. Okay? But I want you guys to get a look at me and know who was applying. My heart is here. It's here. I have no more family left. My parents are gone. I'm an only child. This is my home. I've never wanted to be committed to a place before. But I found it. So I thank you for your time. And you guys have a great evening.
Thank you. Shireen, I know.
I do have to go, but I just wanted to make sure I introduced myself in the time.
Thank you. Shireen,
Yeah.
come on up. I saw your hand second.
Okay.
Yeah.
People in this community that could serve well as a trustee. And I think they should have first preference, first interviews with all of you as soon as possible. Because it's ridiculous to spend good money on an executive search when you have people qualified and wanting to serve. And you're not listening, you're not seeing them, you're not hearing them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Pete, come on up, and then the gentleman in the back. I saw your hand second.
Couple things. I do think that the position should be separated out from the water and the town administrator. I've listened and heard from a number of people who talk about they don't feel like they're represented here, but the water is really important. And obviously, everyone in the valley is affected by the person who is running the water manager. And so rather than having this be one big job, we could split it up. So that's my first thought. My second thought is that I'm a little skeptical, forgive me, Mayor, of your interpretation of the law these days. Given that you called my truthful statements libelous. So I would like to go and look at that, but I do think that what I understand about it, and I do need to look more into this, is that the community, there has to be private, like whoever's applying for the position. It can't be made public because they might be applying from another town that they don't want to be known. But that doesn't mean that the community couldn't be out there rustling up resumes. And in this short time where we really weren't asking for any, I've seen 3 people come forward. In fact, there was a resume during the interim that was presented before even Greg's son's name was put forward. And I'm not trying to rehash the interim, but just trying to say that without even trying to get other people were there. And I'm talking about people with decades of experience doing this as town administrators and public works. So we're gonna do the RFP. I hear you, we're gonna do that, it's fine. But why not open it up now before the RFP and see who comes forward? Maybe we could save the town $20,000. We just wasted 50. And I do think that is real money. And we could open it up and ask the community to get involved, to bring people forward, not to necessarily be there to vet those people, but just to bring people forward. And before we go to a professional service, maybe we'll get some really good candidates. And maybe we'll find that we don't actually need to go to the executive search firm. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else in the room? Yes, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you put your hand up. Come on up, sorry.
Appreciate that. Hi, I'm 2 minutes outside. I was thinking actually the same thing that Pete was saying, which is, and I would love to hear some feedback as to whether this has been done before and if it was just insufficient, you didn't get the right candidates. As far as you could post the job opening for town, it's okay. You could post the job opening, for example, for town administrator on the town page, and then everybody in the community that has the vested interest in finding the best candidate could spread the word. And I would say just open it up at first without having executive search for it. And then, if the trustees or whoever needs to make that decision decide we just aren't getting qualified candidates, then that's one thing. And then perhaps the second measure would be to get an executive search firm, because I'm just a little, it seems like it's absolutely necessary, it makes sense, but I don't know that would be my initial path to trying to find a new administrator. And then secondly, I would love it if someone could explain to me how we can be sure that the candidates that are discovered by the executive search firm would not be biased. They would not be biased. The whole process would not be in some way biased to selecting their candidate versus somebody that applied outside of their search. That would be a concern, because it sort of seems as if we're paying all this money to an executive search firm, that it would be sort of in everyone's interest at that point to go with someone they found. So this would some transparency around that. And I would just like if I could have some answers to those questions.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, come on up.
I think this question kind of dovetails into what makes Paonia special and different. When we were walking down the street, people look you in the eye. You have relationships with people. You have friendships with people that are on a deeper level than anywhere else I've ever lived. You have love between neighbors. You have people willing to bend over backwards. We have a phenomenal network of people with the right hearts, right minds in our community that are already connected. And I would encourage us to utilize this network to find someone with that same right heart and mind, and that same look you in the eye and say hello with a genuine smile from their soul when you see you at the Indigo Autumn, or they see you at Don's, or share a kind word on the corner. That's what makes our community. That's not an executive search firm candidate. Not that one can't come through that corridor, but I firmly believe that we should use our community connections to bring forth the best fit. One of the proposals that came in for the interim was one of my personal friends. I've known him for 30 years. I'll leave his name out because of the anonymity issues, but I've known him since I was a semi-troubled teenager. I went to 3 high schools in 4 years. He's one of the people, he was 35 in the neighborhood. And he's one of the people who had a 10-year-old kid. He's one of the people that helped me be on a better path. He's been in public works for decades. He's worked in Arizona, done water refit grants. He's done water systems rebuilding. He is the right fit for our town. I know, although he's not here, I have a guest room that he can, occupy as long as possible. And I understand the executive search firm and the hurdles and all those things, but he doesn't have a master's degree. And if that's required for this job, even with open enrollment, the town will never see his application because of these benchmarks, and he can't check that box and commit fraud. So even though he's got decades of experience, qualifications, grants, checks all of our boxes, personally, professionally, and has been one of my friends for decades, the person will show up when you need them. It'd be a shame to miss out on a candidate like that. I don't know if there's a way to set up a work group and have parallel tracks where the community can reference in people that they can apply an application with a reference letter from the community. So it's not too much and overwhelming, like the mayor said it had been previously, or if there is a way to have a community-based track that then we can request that the executive search firm include those in the finalists. And we could have 2 tracks to finalists, one community and one executive search firm. I would love to not spend the money, but I think our community can do this. I think that when you look at the history of the executive search firms, what do you got? 3-year tenure, 5-year tenure? We want somebody that can do the right things for our town, for our community, also be there competently to hand the reins off and not get chased out due to questionable decisions, whether they're valid or not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Stina?
Patterson, wow, I just absolutely love what everybody had to say. We just,
Can you say your name?
Christina Patterson.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for articulating all of that. It's like John Norris was one of the best town managers we ever had, but he would never have made that, he would never have made the cut with that headhunter service. And we are just spending way too much money. $20,000 is a lot of money for this town. We have just been spending a lot of money. And why can't we just do it and slow down this process and do it just in a different way? And include what is already here, the local people, the local talent, and just include that, because if John Norris would not have been included in this search. Thank you.
Thank you. Here, come on up, and I see, Jordan, I see your hand, so I will not forget you.
Mary Becker. Along with Paige, I went through the last process. And I firmly think that having a formal search, a firm to do this is the best solution. People can apply, anybody can apply. The woman there, she can apply, anybody can apply, but there are some minimum requirements that are needed. And it's not just, well, I have a master's in whatever. Now, I got a PhD. Whoopee, I'm not qualified to be a town administrator. I've worked in town government 10 years. Whoopee, I'm not qualified to be a town administrator. There are things that are needed that is more than just being a kind, nice person who will talk to you on the street. You have to have management experience. You have to have experience hiring and firing people. You have to know the ins and outs of government and law and how towns work, not just on a big level, but on a small level too. You have to understand utilities and how to manage people. It's a big job and it requires some serious consideration. And sure, anybody can apply. There's no requirement position can't. We need a professional. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room before I hand it over to Jordan? Okay, Jordan, go ahead.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to actually speak on this, so I would like a little bit of clarification.
Do you need it right now in public, or did you want to talk to someone that's here? Like, anyway.
I just need some clarification if I'm allowed to have an open conversation about what I would like for in a town administrator.
Yeah, I would say so, yes, because you're gonna be working with that person.
And you can also just speak as a citizen.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Go right ahead, Jordan.
So I have had another public works supervisor who was able to take a town truck home because he was on call all the time. And citizens of the public have dropped trash off in his front lot because they felt like it wasn't picked up appropriately. Just all of this corresponding, living in a community where you're going to have to deal with that, it makes sense to me that somebody from the outside gets to come in looking into it from a government standpoint and not being persuaded any other way. Because at the end of the day, we're looking at it as this is the rules and these are the way we have to do it, not personal relationships, not this is what he said, this is what she said, but looking at it in a completely different standpoint than I just like my neighbor. Yes, like your neighbor, love your neighbor, but you know, it's hard when you have to look at it objectively. Objectively, it is very hard to pick somebody that you know has helped raise somebody's children right next to you when they have to make hard decisions. I feel like this decision is something that needs to go beyond just community, but it needs to go to somebody that can look at it from the outside and like, hey, how can I actually help this instead of just helping my neighbor, even though that's what we're all here to do. But it's literally helping us move forward in an objective way. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make is it's hard to bring somebody in from the community that has such strong feelings one way or the other. I don't have much more of a point, but it's.
You have about 30 seconds, I think.
I've dealt with that through multiple administrators, multiple public works directors. Like, let's just get somebody in here that can be like, hey, let's get this fixed the right way. Following government. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jordan. Okay. No one else needs to come up? Oh, sorry, Tina, sorry.
This is Dina. My name's Dina Backer and I'm from the town of Paonia. I want to kind of talk about a middle ground possibility because I do think it's really important to think about people who know the town and know the town well and people who are committed to the town, not just as a project, but as this very livable space where they either know or get to know the community members and what the community wants and needs. And I think that is a really important part. And one thing I've seen in job applications, which is something that we could specifically request of the firm, is thinking about education versus experience and things like that, that can open the position to people that might not be classically educated in a way that would make the position open for them. So saying something like, a master's degree in town administration or finance of this, or an equivalent amount of experience in the same sort of thing really does allow people without traditional academic backgrounds access. And if we do blast this through town, we can get all the local town people applying. And if we chose to, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't, but it is a possibility to have your experience with Paonia be one of those qualifications. Like, what do you know about our town? What do you know about us? You know, and the town's like the fact that one of our requirements for that service would be them speaking with townsfolk on what are we looking for in an administrator is a great example of how that can work. But that can also work for the company we hire. We can ask them to look for that sort of thing in candidates and also offer those sort of replacements of experience for education.
Okay, thank you. We good on comments? Okay. Back to the trustees.
I guess.
Go ahead, trustee Ostrander, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just want to respond and thank the audience for the thoughtful comments. I have been not an elected official, but I've worked for city government for almost 15 years in my career. Either directly 12 of those and 3 as a consultant. Town administrator or city administrator is an incredibly complicated job, and it requires a unique individual. Now, I really agree with the last speaker in the efforts to craft this in a way that doesn't block someone from being considered who may have the experience that would show their qualifications, if not, you know, on paper, academic. However, I am community oriented. I want people from in the community to apply. I would love to hire someone from in the community. And this is not, I consider myself to be a very smart person. This is not a job I would do because I am not qualified for it. And it's a unique qualification. That being said, I still like the executive search firm because I would like to have a process with the community and with the board where we really go through this job description and we talk about what we want to see in there. And we make sure that we have that public engagement up front, and that search firm can help us do that. In an ideal world, saving $20,000 is always good. I completely agree with that. And in this case, I think in efforts not to rush, in efforts to get all the input, and efforts to craft a job description that would allow candidates of various backgrounds who are qualified to come into consideration, we should go with the executive search firm.
Okay, thank you. Other comments?
I would agree with everything trustee Ostrander just said.
Let me ask one. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I appreciate Zena's sentiments and I agree with them, but I would like to see an executive search firm utilized with the proviso that they also consider locals with experience as well as the education. So I would make the motion if we're ready.
Could you wait?
Sure.
Just before you make a motion. I want everybody to think about, so right now, the dates that are in here, let me turn to Sam. Sam, if this is approved tonight, can we get this on BidNet this week? Okay, because the dates that are in here were predicated on this going out really quick. So the deadline to get the proposals is July 31st. And I threw in that we'd like them hired by November 30th. This is what I want to ask you all. Do you think November 30th is reasonable?
That's ambitious.
It is ambitious. And I was thinking about our interim, potentially is going to be here for 6 months, but I do kind of feel like it's ambitious, but I wanted you all to have a date to look at.
What do we feel is reasonable? Because I have not been through this process before. Are we looking at like end of year? Like what seems reasonable?
It's.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, it's your opinion because you went through this.
I did, and
Mary too, so you guys have a better idea what's involved, how difficult it is.
Yeah, I'm personally feeling like it's a little ambitious, but what's bad is when you start going into December, things fall apart because of the holiday. So I almost would say December or January or the first week in January.
Why can't we push it out the first week of January? I guess
Just changing that date.
just change that date.
Yeah, because I think we want the proposals by July 31st and then have more time for this whole process, because here's what I don't want to rush, and that's the community input in the beginning. I want there to be time for that, and that's what's listed here. So, and so would you entertain backing it into January of 2027? Backing it, pushing it, I don't know what the right.
Seems that would give us. I would feel under an enormous amount of pressure to have a November 30th deadline. And that's not something we need. We don't need the pressure. So, I feel it's reasonable to, push that date out to the first week of January.
Or even could do January 15th is right in the middle. Anyway, you all, I've just thrown that out if you all want to come up with a date. And is there any other part of this that any of you wanted to modify? That's not in the pack. Thank you.
Trustee Ostrander, can I ask, did you have any other comments on the draft RFP? I know you had spoken to this at the last, or the emergency meeting.
No, I didn't have any other comments, although I agree with the push the date back. Again, I'm not trying to rush this process. I don't think anyone in the room is trying to rush this process.
And right now, in this, it says RFP issued June 15th, so we'll go, tomorrow or Thursday. Questions can be asked up to July 20th. Proposals have to be in July 31st, selection and recommendation to the Board of Trustees at their August 11th meeting. So if that goes as said, it would be mid-August, September, October, yeah, it definitely needs to go out. I don't have, that's only that many fingers, no, that's not right. So I would almost say end of January, wait a minute, what did I just say, August, September, October, November, December, January? How about February?
February 6
31.
months, that's.
I think.
I think that's.
And it can always be earlier,
I'd
it can be earlier, but we're pretty much
rather
saying,
hedge my bets
okay,
on that.
all right, I'll let somebody make a motion and we can change that date to what you'd like to have in the motion.
You scribble down the date.
So
That's fine.
I move to approve the draft RFP with the one modification of changing the date listed in scope of services, item 12, page 3, from November 30th, 2026 to February 1st, 2027.
And let me just add, I'll change it throughout the rest of the document, because I think it's here several times.
With changes throughout the document as needed. Yes, in that regard.
Thank you. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And last, so item number 8 is consideration
Wait,
of.
we're 7 still.
Oh, God. Oh, the ad hoc committee, that must have been a Freudian. Okay, appointing a trustee to the ad hoc short-term rental committee. All right, Clerk Better.
I know you guys want one work. So. Former Mayor Pro Tem, Majorado was also our second trustee that was on the STR committee. So, we need another trustee on the STR committee, the ad hoc committee. So I can tell you that they're making progress. The facilitator, has been wonderful. They've actually been making some good progress. I think most people
It's better than a plus. So, but we. But we need another trustee on the committee so that we can meet those parameters that you guys originally set. Okay, so, it's. Trustee Ostrander.
I was just self-nominating.
Go ahead, trustee Ostrander.
Oh, I might have jumped the gun. I'm sorry, Mayor Page. I was self-nominating.
Awesome. Yay.
Yay. Oh, you nominated.
I nominate trustee Ostrander for ad hoc short-term rental
I
committee.
would second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, trustee Ostrander.
Thanks you, trustee Ostrander.
Thank you, guys.
Now we're in USGS, consideration of the USGS agreement. And Jordan, let's see. How do we, the reason I'm hesitating is we, the trustees, have we have a copy of an invoice that came to us on the finance committee. And the invoice is for $1,540. So we had seen the document that is in the agenda packet from the USGS saying that the town owed $6,000. And it is on page 108 of the agenda packet. So Jordan, I'm just gonna do this financial lead in and you just chime in when you want. So I was kind of like, I don't understand, why are we being charged $6,365? And why are we also being charged $1,540? Okay, so here is the deal on this. This is a North Fork of the Gunnison gauge. And it only runs partially in the year. There is a gauge at Somerset that runs year round. There's another gauge down at Lazier that runs year round. The town of Paonia put this in, I believe it was in 2002, and it was put in because that's when our sewer lagoon was right there at Twin Lakes. So this river gauge is nearby. So Jordan did a bunch of research to try to understand why we still have this. And if you go to the next page down on this agenda packet, you see some pros and cons that were put together. Because what Jordan found out, Jordan, I'll turn it over to you here in just a second after I get to this one point and talk about the money. We do not have to have this river gauge for our effluent out of our new sewer plant. But this has been used now for, I think it's Jordan, I don't know, 15 years at least. So it provides a baseline for what the river looks like during, I think, July to November. So now the question is, we're not required to have this, but it seems like a really good thing to have for baseline for future activities, maybe a new sewer plant that we may have to put in, FEMA and things like that. And so what I want to let everybody know, we do owe $6,230. The invoice that we have is for last year and we need to pay it. And last year we paid a total of like $6,200. The Congress has raised the amount the town owes on this river gauge. So we will have to pay this one and then we will pay the difference, the remainder of the 6,000 that is in here in another invoice. So Jordan, fill in the blanks for me, please.
I'm gonna do my best. It was a little hard to do research on all of this. We do not currently need this. Going down the line, though, it could be possible that we do need this because our NPDES permit is currently in executive extension, which I think almost everybody through the state actually is too. If we were ever to have to track that, then we would have to use this for our discharge. We have found things that said voluntarily we went ahead and did this and that they did sampling and stuff through the river, but it has nothing to do with our actual permit itself. It was just voluntary. I think we keep going with it. If you look at the pros and cons, which is something that I found from a previous public works director, it makes sense. It makes sense for the public. I know it's a little bit hefty and everything to I guess take that burden, but it's okay to take that burden, I think, even though my initial standpoint was like, let's let it go. It's an interesting piece of history that is available to the public that I think that we should keep going forward with. There is things that where maybe it can help us with FEMA grants in the future for drought and or flood, which we've seen all of in the last 10 years. I guess that's kind of just where I'm at with it is I think it's a little expensive, but I think that it also makes sense.
Yeah, Jordan and I and Ashley and Stefan kind of went round on this to try to understand what was the genesis? Why did this start? How did it continue? And you'll see the pros and cons. We really kind of came to the conclusion that I do know, I believe trustee Ostrander has said she uses that gauge to see how the river is get on, you know, right from here. But we feel like right now we have a really good database history of the river since this has been in place. And that you can't come back and recreate if we don't pay for it and it's shut off. So we really think in terms of the things that can happen in the future because of drought, because there is big talk of changing how sewage is treated, that this information could be really helpful for us to have in our database. And we are, you know, and when we go to get a FEMA grant, we can really show what the water level's been here in right here in Paonia outside of town. So I started with Jordan thinking, why are we doing this? And then I came back to, I think this kind of information, it's a little of a risk. It's helping us minimize our risk for unknowns in the future is how Jordan and I kind of came up with it. So it's an expenditure that's been happening. This is being paid every year. I didn't realize it was as much as it is. We've been paying like, oh gosh, what was it? A total of 2021, we paid 4,000. In 2019, we paid 3,858. In 2025, it'll be total of whatever the 6,365. So it's going to go up a little bit every year because Congress determines this amount of money. We don't really understand that, but that's what USGS told us. So that's the background on this. And so it's being put in front of the trustees if you feel like you would like to spend the money to continue with this data collection. Okay.
Yes, it is more expensive to try to recreate this or reinstall than it is to keep them going. When I worked with the Natural Resources Agency in California, this data is vital for drought and water management. I vote to keep it going. I guess I just wanted to ask, did you clear up the use of Minturn in the billing statement?
Yes, that person, the person that they've been dealing with, I believe his name was Brian, he was like, oh, no, you're right. No, that shouldn't have been in there. So yeah, human error.
So my understanding, this is just a flow gauge, it has nothing to do with water quality and sand.
It's not
Correct.
quality.
So it'll show gauge height, it'll show discharge in cubic feet per second. You can look at historic data, change time spans, graph it.
Not one that's USGS certified.
It's mostly for the benefit of those rafters or people who use the river.
Well, they are using it, but again, I think it has an immense benefit for us.
Speaking as a rafter, I have not once looked at the Paonia gauge because it's not when I'm running the river. I've always looked at Lazier and Somerset.
And they're year round.
Right.
But and this is a 6-month gauge, but
Yeah, but it's good historic data for the town and like trustee Ostrander said to, if we decided later at a later date we wanted it, it's a lot more money to get back in and to continue it.
Questions? Before I ask the audience? No. Anybody in the room that wants to comment on our river gauge? Yes, come on up.
Just one question. Would that gauge be important, concerning the sewage pond and, things like that, to know when the water in Paonia is rising?
Jordan said that it is not needed for their NPDES permitting, which is what you're referring to.
Well, it's not a useful thing anyway, an auxiliary in case of failure of another system or.
That's kind of the point. It probably serves as a good risk reduction to have the information if something unknown should happen. And that's kind of where we all landed with this good data for at least 15 years. Jordan, you still on board with that assessment on my part?
I am, because I think a good point is made is we don't know where the NPDES data is gonna come from next time. Maybe they are gonna make us do loading rates off of the river. It's not currently required by our permit, but our permit has also been extended for almost upwards of 10 years now, and they don't even know when it's going to come back into just a regular permit.
Okay, so again, it's fail safe.
If people use it, like, that's great. I don't see the specific benefit for us, but I can see a future benefit for us.
Okay. Thank you.
So a motion is needed to pay this invoice or drop our participation in the USGS. Station.
I think that the ask is to continue entering into this agreement or not.
Yep. Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd make a motion to continue this agreement with USGS about the gauging station.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay. Okay,
Aye.
good. Thank you. So do we have an ad hoc short-term rental committee report? There's not one in the packet, is there?
No.
Okay.
Why was that recorded? That's actually what I was gonna say. I can get a little.
Great.
So it actually turned into more of a work and talk session. There was only 2 committee members available. And then we had technical difficulties with our recording and it did not record that day. So I did receive the executive summary from Mr. Brown today, and we'll post that on the website tomorrow. But that day we were just having weird stuff go on. I was like using it, showing the packet and the whole 9 yards, but it did not record for whatever reason. So but I think the plan is to go back with the agenda with hopefully the full committee next time so they can actually make some decisions. So that's why I didn't record. So
Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. Hearing none?
None.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And now, the meeting is adjourned. Are we good? Can you turn off the?
Yeah. 1 second.
Thank you. Then come on up at all that.
Bye, thank you.